Welcome back to the channel, Classic Volkswagen Lovers, Junior with classic VW Bucks and Sony the Super Beetle. Today I am going to be doing a valve clearance check. As you know, Sony has a new engine which I built for it during the 2-year process that I was restoring the car. And it is recommended that after 300 miles you go back and you check the valve clearance. So we'll be taking a look at that. Meanwhile, let me tell you about a few other little things that I have done to the engine to upgrade it. And one of those is that I install a brand new vacuum advance electronic distributor with the electronic ignition and a brand new German Buru coil, and I went with that coil because it was the one that they were recommending on site when I purchased the electronic ignition just for warranty purposes. But know that if your coil reads 3 ohms or more, you should be fine. Meanwhile, just for convenience, I removed the oil bath cover from the top, and I'm using a temporary aftermarket one just to make sure I cover the carburetor so that nothing will actually go in there. So I installed the distributor. I have a temp hose right here. I don't like this type of hose, so I will be buying the braided kind online or maybe in my next Volkswagen Fest. And I swap my distributor and I swap my coil. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be removing the valve cover and checking the clearance tolerance in those valves. So that's what we're going to be doing next. It is always recommended that you follow your year, make, and model recommendations for your car. Make sure you always review or do some homework as to what is required to do maintenance in your engine. That being said, let's move along and let's go ahead and start by removing the valve covers. So as you can see, my valve covers is actually in place and fastened by a clip, and the way that I remove that clip is using a rope. Some people have the kind that have the studs sticking out and they have a nut that they have to remove. So you follow whatever steps you need to remove your valve cover. So the way I do it, I like to use a piece of rope like this. And why I do that is because if you use a screwdriver to pry this, a lot of times you end up scratching your chrome. So this way you just do that and out she comes. Just a pull, and then you can just hit your valve cover like that and pull it out. So you do the same step on the other side. You just repeat the process, okay? As you can see right here, I have my top dead center marked here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use a method called the reverse of the firing order process, which means that I am going to be turning my crankshaft counterclockwise to adjust my valves. And the reason being is because that way I will knock the passenger side out first by adjusting 1, 2, then I'll move to the driver's side and adjust 3 and 4. So right now this is top dead center, and what that means is that when this is top dead center, my number 1 piston should be at the highest it can't be, and then I can take my gauge, my filler gauge, and do an inspection to make sure that the clearance is within tolerance. Valve clearance is very important, so you want to make sure you follow your maintenance manual and engine specifications. So this is a 1600 dual port engine, and the specified clearance for my engine is 6,000 or 0.15 millimeters for both intake and the exhaust. Okay, so for both it's 6,000. So we're going to be adjusting number 1 first, and then we're going to be adjusting number 2 over here. So I'm going to be using a 13 millimeter wrench for here, a flat screwdriver, and a 6,000 filler gauge. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the cover for my distributor. We can take this out for the time being. We don't need it right now. So we'll take this out. So with my new electronic distributor vacuum advance, my number 1, as opposed to being pointing in this direction like this, is actually pointing in that direction towards number 1 spark plug or number 1 cylinder. So don't be confused by that. If you have a standard 009 Bosch distributor, you might find that you may have a little marking right here, and usually when you're top dead center, your number 1 is pointing at that marking in this direction like so, which it was my case before I installed this new distributor, which is an electronic one with a vacuum advance canister in it. So just remove that from here, but like that. We are now at top dead center right there, and we're just going to go ahead and double check that. And we're going to use a filler gauge. It looks like that's a little too tight now, so we're going to use that, and we're going to trim that a little bit. We're going to hold this here and see if we can get this in. Try that. Yeah, that's much better. Let's stop. So let's double check that. Let's try that. Okay, so I have already adjusted these two here to 6,000. Now we're going to move to number 2. So in order to do that, we're going to rotate our crankshaft counterclockwise. So notice how my rotor is pointing at number 1 now. So when I turn this 90 degrees counterclockwise, this rotor is going to be pointing at number 2 here. Okay, that's my marking right at the bottom of my 90 degrees from my top dead center. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got now. And you can see that number 2, we have a little play. Sometimes you don't have to really adjust them, just make sure that the clearance is there. It looks like that's going in fine. So is this one here. Might be going in too easy. You gotta have a drag at least, you know, there. So I'm gonna go ahead and loose this one here. One last time. I think that's good. I'm done adjusting 1 and 2. Now I'm going to move to the other side and repeat the same process. Okay, so let me show you something here. Notice how my rotor is pointing now at number 3. That's the spark plug wire right there. And we're going to repeat the same process. See that? So we're going to loose this here. You want to have some drag, you know, when you are inserting your filler gauge in there. So loosen that, tighten it, and try it. Again, and spin another 90 degree. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You already know the drill. So we check for clearance. Let's see. It goes in very easily. You have to have some kind of a drag when you're doing this, okay? A little bit. Yeah, that's much better. I got a little bit of a drag. It's going in. So we are on the other side now, and we're going to take this gasket here again. Also, I'm going to apply a small bit of Permatex around it. That'll help hold it in the cover, and then I'll put another small bit to kind of like make sure that all of this here seals. And again, this is optional. It's up to you if you want to do this or not. It's not really necessary. Some people don't do this. I normally don't do it. But with these aftermarket chrome pieces, sometimes you got to take a little bit more of an extra precaution just to make sure. There's an aftermarket chrome cover, so I'm just doing that. And now I'll just do this here. Okay, so put that there. Just want to make sure that nothing is going inside. Okay, so that should be it right there. Now all we have to do is reinstate our cover and give it a test. The covers are already installed. I'm going to go ahead and put back these tins in the engine, reinstate the the cap to the distributor, and I'm going to do some cleaning here. The distributor cap that came with this distributor is white, so it's not something that would actually stays really nicely clean when you got your hands all greasy. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that, because I'm like that. I don't like to see things look dirty and stuff like that in my engine. So I'm going to go ahead and put these back on. We're going to do like that. And we should be able to do a startup test to see how it works. Okay, not so sure what happened, but I think that my battery went dead on my GoPro. So basically what happened was that after I put everything back together, I took my timing light and checked my top dead center. So the way that you have to do it when you have a electronic distributor, you have to take off your vacuum line from your vacuum canister, or you can unplug it from right here and then cover that hole with a plug or something, and then you actually put your car in timing to be at top dead center. Once you do that, then you can go ahead and reconnect your hose to the canister, or if you just unplugged it from right here, you can reconnect it back there, and then you can go ahead and try to see how your car runs, and and how it idles, and and how it starts. So I'm going to go ahead now and give it a test start to see how it sounds, and how it goes, and then if everything is fine, then we'll just wrap it up. One other thing that I forgot to mention that I did today was that I used to have my fuel filter right here. So I unplugged it from right here. I connected the line directly from the fuel pump to the carburetor, and what I did, I went under the car and connected the filter in this line right here. So I don't know if you can see it. Maybe if I just turn the camera upside down, like so. I connected the filter right here. If I ever have a fuel filter fail, then it's outside the engine. Right now I was running short on the braided hose, so they actually sell a bracket for one to hold or fasten this somewhere around from one of the bolts from the transmission. From right here. So I'm just going to leave it like this for now, and then when I get an extra piece of hose, I'm going to relocate the filter to about this area right here. But for now, just to test it, I'm going to go ahead and start the engine to see how it reacts to the new settings, and see if my valve clearance adjustments were good enough, and to see how it actually performs with the Vacuum Advance new electronic distributor and electronic ignition integrated inside. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Take a look at the tachometer, which should be around 900 RPMs. Yep, we are at 900 RPMs. Okay, so I took the car for a test drive and it just performs so much better with the new SVDA distributor. I'm so happy that I did this modification. Right now it's a very smooth curve at 1000 RPMs and total 18-degree advance at 2400 RPMs with a 10-degree vacuum advance. And I can tell you that I can go on the highway right now and very easily, do 80 miles an hour with ease and no issues. Not that I will be doing that oftentimes, but I just wanted to test, the car to see how it would actually perform if I needed to in an instance where I need to step on the gas and go. If this is the first time that you're watching my video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, this is Junior with a classic VW Bucks and Sonic the Super Beetle. Junior out.